Special Counsel Jack Smith has moved in Judge Cannon's court to have the conditions of release amended so as to include statements that would prohibit Donald Trump from targeting people who are involved in the case. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's get started. So this motion stems from the disinformation campaign that Donald Trump and MAGA undertook by claiming that the FBI officers who conducted the search at the Mar-a-Lago compound for classified documents were ordered to use deadly force if necessary. And Donald Trump and MAGA and his allies took that and spun that around into saying that Joe Biden's law enforcement, DOJ, was coming after to assassinate Donald Trump. So in this motion, Jack Smith makes clear that nothing of that sort happened because FBI was following FBI's policy that it follows in every other search or every other search warrant or arrest warrant they execute. And to add to that, after Donald Trump made these comments, there were attacks. There was an attack at the Cincinnati FBI office that was right after Donald Trump used these lies of him being targeted and spread the disinformation, thereby radicalizing and mobilizing his loyal supporters to commit violence in his name against those who Donald Trump perceives as his enemies. Now, this is a great move by Jack Smith because if Eileen Cannon decides that she doesn't want to rule on this or she denies the motion, if she denies the motion, Jack Smith will appeal to the 11th Circuit and I believe, will ask for the 11th Circuit to remove Judge Cannon from this case. If Eileen Cannon just holds the motion and does not rule on it and keeps it indefinitely delayed, the question then rises whether Jack Smith can take this issue to the 11th Circuit while the decision is pending in Judge Eileen Cannon's court. Now, that would depend on how long Eileen Cannon decides to withhold judgment. With that said, I wanted to give you the brief explanation of what is going on. I'm now going to do sort of a deep dive into this motion and tell you parts of the motion that Jack Smith finds to be extremely dangerous and prejudicial in this lawsuit. So the government's request is necessary because of several intentionally false and inflammatory statements recently made by Trump that distort the circumstances under which the FBI planned and executed the search warrant in Mar-a-Lago. Those statements create a grossly misleading impression about the intentions and conduct of the federal law enforcement agents, falsely suggesting that they were complicit in a plot to assassinate him and expose those agents, some of whom will be witnesses at trial, to the risk of threats, violence, and harassment. Donald Trump distorted the standard inclusion of the policy limiting the use of deadly force by mischaracterizing it as a claim that the FBI was authorized to shoot me and just itching to do the unthinkable and was locked and loaded ready to take me out and put my family in danger. When in truth, the FBI coordinated and they scheduled to search Mar-a-Lago for the time when Donald Trump and his family would be away. and they coordinated and planned every step of it with the Secret Service to make sure that there weren't any conflicts should Trump end up being in Mar-a-Lago, that they would maintain their procedure and talk and communicate with the liaison of the Secret Service. So Jack Smith then says such a prohibition will also minimize further prejudice caused by defendant directing false and inflammatory messages regarding the facts of this case to potential jurors who may be summoned by the court for jury service in this matter. So then Jack Smith explains that FBI's procedures is typical in every case, and the fact that they were preparing for the use of deadly force is more so the standard and language set out by the Department of Justice's use of force policy, which prohibits the use of deadly force except when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. So it's actually a prohibitory statement that FBI agents have to follow in order to not use deadly force unless it was necessary because their life and safety was in danger. So Jack Smith goes on to explain how that Donald Trump turned it on its head and how that this particular lie actually initiated a harmful action. Indeed, an armed attack on an FBI office in Cincinnati, Ohio, was carried out by one of his supporters in the wake of Trump's Truth Social statements inflaming his supporters regarding the search in Mar-a-Lago. So there has already been harm done because of Donald Trump's words, because he lied about the FBI. Finally, Jack Smith says this modification would comport with the First Amendment. Like any other criminal defendant, Mr. Trump has the right to speak, and his millions of supporters, as well as his millions of detractors, have a right to hear what he has to say. I love that he put as well as his millions of detractors. Also, like any other criminal defendant, Mr. Trump does not have an unlimited right to speak. To the contrary, pretrial conditions commonly include measures that burden criminal defendants' ability to speak, to act, associate, and speak. So, for example, the restriction that a defendant avoid all contact with potential witnesses that may testify concerning the offense is so commonplace that Trump does not dispute the court's authority to have ordered him, as a condition of pretrial release, not to communicate with witnesses except in the presence of counsel. So here Jack Smith is asking Eileen Cannon to put a release condition on Donald Trump that he cannot target law enforcement like he did. And I strongly believe that we are at a point that this case should be removed from Eileen Cannon's court and charged to another district judge. I believe the 11th Circuit would be open to that, given how much Eileen Cannon has indefinitely delayed this very simple trial. Like I said in the beginning, it will depend on whether Judge Cannon denies the motion or if she just holds on to it indefinitely. If she denies it, Jack Smith can immediately appeal to the 11th Circuit. If she holds on to it indefinitely, It depends on how long Jack Smith will wait for her to rule on it before he goes to the 11th Circuit for a ruling pending Judge Cannon's ruling. So that's where we are in the Mar-a-Lago case. I haven't talked much about the Mar-a-Lago case simply because it is, Eileen Cannon has done everything to muddle that up and delay it indefinitely, and it is infuriating to me. So I have left that aside, but this was important, and I wanted to talk to you about the threats that Donald Trump makes and how he radicalizes his flock to attack on command. This attack on Cincinnati is the latest example. FBI Cincinnati office is the latest example of how Donald operates. I hope that you see it, and I hope that you see it for the danger that it poses our republic, law enforcement, and the rule of law. If Donald Trump is not stopped, he will not stop. With that said, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.